Hello and welcome back to the only show whose idea of small talk is discussing Carl Weathers. I'm Max,
I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke.
and this is Force for Thought.
Nice play on Weather's joke. Love to see it. Hello and welcome. This is our final episode of Season 1 of our Mandalorian rewatch series. Episode 8, the season finale, Redemption. Before we get into the episode in detail, what'd you guys think? We happy? Matt, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, first off, I am unhappy in the fact that our YouTube, or just in general, these episodes are now titled one off from each other. So we did the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer last week, which was episode 118, and it lined up perfectly. 111 was episode 1, 112 was episode 2, and now it really
That is
throws
a
me for
bummer.
loop. Yeah, and it's gonna haunt me until we get to 200. We can correct this. Overall for this episode, I love it. I like it. I like it a lot. This was a good episode. It's a lot of lore dump, it's funny knowing these things in the canon now, being like, oh yeah, Din Djarin, that's his name. Here's his backstory. But I forgot that this is how it is told. This much. Again, a lot of lore dumping here. But I thought it was okay. I love that we have glimmers and we have these moments of Mandalorian that really truly shows. I think it is great, and I think this episode shows some of that. And it's a lot to bring up, a lot to happen before this to get to this point, which is why I think Mandalorian might be better suited for a movie after watching this full season again. You can kind of cut some of the stuff out. Top level, that is my thoughts.
Max?
I agree with everything you said. I can say that I like it a lot better because I know obviously where season 2 and 3 are heading, so I don't have to worry about the concern of late about not getting it renewed for another season or anything like that. Thematically speaking, it wasn't like that satisfying of an ending. Like it really,
It's all set up
the
for Grief Car.
exactly,
And
so it's like as a season finale, it kind of fell like a little flat. It just seemed like an above average episode of The Mandalorian. That said, this is one of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian, but just I'm like trying to like parse it out a little bit because it is a season finale, and it just didn't like have a season finale because it didn't really have like a conclusive, satisfying ending, nor did it have like a crazy cliffhanger. I mean, it did have not nothing with the dark saber, but as far as Din Djarin's story with Grogu, it was basically just episode 3 all over again. But that said, definitely an above average episode of The Mandalorian, so I loved it.
How quickly our expectations shift. You travel back to 2019 and how blown away you personally were with the Darksaber. Like, it's not the Gods of Mortis and whatever all the other shows are doing. The Death Star being built, it's not that, but the Darksaber was such a cool cliffhanger.
It was, but I mean, I feel like I'm being pretty consistent here because I also love Ahsoka, but I say that that's also a terrible season finale, even though it probably does have like one of the best cliffhangers.
Yeah, consistent is fair. That's an appropriate word. I wouldn't use many others positively. I don't care for this take on yours about season finales for TV shows in general, but I love this one. Similar to what I was saying last week, this is the best that the Mandalorian gets. Lore. I wouldn't be hostile with it and call it lore dumps, but we are exploring the lore here with this episode, and I think it's very appropriate.
Exploring the lore.
Luke, you're telling me Grief Karga doesn't go by each person's name and then it gives a description to each person so the audience knows? Yes, Shock Trooper. Moff Gideon. Sorry, who did I say Grief Karga again?
That was such a cool
he's like,
scene, though.
Din Djarin, this is your backstory. Cara Dune, this is your backstory. It is a good scene.
But I agree with Matt because all of the comments that I want to talk about are basically just from that scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great scene. All right, well, I guess we'll get to it soon because it is one of the first scenes. But the first scene is the Scout Troopers SNL skit, for lack of a better phrase, which
Yes.
I don't mean to disparage it because of it. It does feel like an SNL skit, but like I've said before, I don't want every show to be Andor. This scene would not fit into Andor. It does fit into The Mandalorian, and I really like it. This scene is a lot of fun, and I'm glad it's here. Does it just remind me how much this isn't Andor? Kind of, but that's fine. Not everything is Andor. This show is more lighthearted and fun, and an appropriate place to have this scene. And it is hilarious, that scene. What'd you guys think of it on rewatch? I know it was popular at first, but now 6 years removed.
I agree. It is an unnecessary scene, but it's one of those unnecessaries for the better. I like it a lot, but it is also funny, like fitting this scene into the entire plot for the episode, because all Moff Gideon wants is Grogu. And so it's like, if they just didn't stop at the city gate and they were just like, I'm just going to take it straight to Grogu, like everything would have been much different. Moff Gideon would have had Grogu and it would have been the end. But instead they have this little back and forth that just gives IG-11 enough time to come and rescue baby Grogu. So I don't know, but it's a funny scene. I don't hate that they included it, and I kind of like it. This is a good level of quirkiness for The Mandalorian. In later seasons, they go a little too extreme with it, but this is good. I like it where it is with this.
Matt, how'd you like this scene?
It's funny. I can't unhear like Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally talking, like it is so distinctly their voices. And I'm just like, oh, this is Ted Lasso talking, right? Or this is. I mean, Jason Sudeikis in my heart is always from SNL first. But I was like, this is
Ted Lasso
a sketch.
has an accent. He's not doing his southern accent.
That's true, I guess. But I think I like the shooting scene to just drive home the fact that they're bad shots. That's very funny. It gets me every time. It is a long intro scene, though.
Yes.
I don't remember how long it was until I'm rewatching it. But yeah, ultimately, I liked it. But again, when you have this runtime, I'm always like very conscious of how they're using all 42 minutes or whatever it is. And I think this could have been cut a little shorter for some other cool action. Having said that, this is what we're given, and I'm fine with the scene. Luke, what do you think of it?
I mean, it could have been cut shorter for other action. It's not like 42 minutes is the maximum the episode could be. So if they had more stuff to put in, they had to put it, but they would have put it in. I love this scene. I agree that I can hear Jason Sudeikis. I don't hear the other guy. I don't know who he is. Even after you said it, I don't recognize his name. The line in particular that I hear it so clearly is when he says, "I get that lesson. Do you get that lesson?" Yes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Jason Sudeikis, and this is an SNL skit. Okay, but I love it. It works, and then IG-11 comes, and he is just such a treat every time he's on screen. The way he and Grogu interact, I love it, and there's a lot more of good in that regard to come.
The one
starts off with a bang.
I was thinking of, sorry, Luke, to interrupt. And
fine.
then continue interrupting.
Yes.
What I was thinking of for the time wise is what I meant is like I think especially for season 1 when they were releasing the times of the episodes, you're like, oh well, episode 8's the longest. Like that's exciting. Episode 2 was only 25 minutes, whatever. And then you go on, and then I feel like years later now we're it's like okay, well this is what it is. But it's one of those things where like like okay, episode 8's the longest. This is gonna be cool. And then it is cool. It's very cool. But it's just funny. The justification of it in my head, I don't know. That's not a complaint. That's just an observation that I was used to complaining about.
All right, then we get into that scene that you guys were squawking about. The Moff Gideon talks to
I don't
the main
hate
characters.
This scene. I really like this scene.
Same.
I didn't say you hated it, but you were squawking about it.
It is lore dump. It's good. It's good lore dump. It's much needed information, and I'm glad we got it out because now we all know going into season 2. But it's like Din Djarin's his name.
Yeah, it's Din Djarin's name. All right, so we'll go one at a time because it's not just lore dump. It's all very good lore exposition. Alderaanian,
another way to say that?
Trooper Cara Dune, like yeah, because sometimes it's bad lore dump. Like sometimes it's. The character is I don't know, sometimes it doesn't make sense the character has that information and it doesn't make sense that he's sharing that information, but he's right now just slinging his big dick around that he knows who all these people are and that they are so screwed, and it works in the universe as well as out of universe. But the information specifically that he presents is also very poignant to these characters at their current time because we still don't know that much about Cara Dune, and all he adds to her lore is that she's from Alderaan, and just with that bit of information, it's like, yep, got it. I know everything I need to know about this character. And then same with Greef Karga, which we had complained about with Greef Karga. I say we generously. I think it was Matt and I think it was Max, and I didn't agree last time that he becomes magistrate, kind of out of nowhere. But he was already a disgraced magistrate, so he has experience. He just didn't do it very well the first time. We don't know the full story, but that does give credence to where his character arc will go in seasons 2 and 3. And then obviously name dropping Din Djarin because Moff Gideon was present for the purge on Mandalore is a very good development also. So yes, it is a lot of exposition all at the same time, but I like it. I think 2 thumbs up for this scene. The only part that gives me the slightest thumbs down is the sewer grate being blocked by a bench in this restaurant. There's just a few things wrong with that idea. Why is the sewer grate venting into a restaurant? Why did they block it with a bench?
It smells terrible in that restaurant. It's horrible.
Probably.
We also found out that Cara Dune's full name is Cara Cynthia Dune, which I don't think we knew at that point. And it's hard to go back to find out exactly what we knew, but there is character information that they disclosed in the lead up to the show. So I don't know if this was the first time that we learned that she was from Alderaan, or if we learned that beforehand. I talked before about how her teardrop tattoo is an Alderaan thing, and obviously they didn't talk about that here. So that must have just been something outside of the actual show. But I thought that was cool. The disgraced magistrate, Luke, you literally said everything I was about to for that. So I did appreciate that, answering questions. And then there was a couple quotes that was said in there, too, that I wanted to talk about real quick. One was when Moff Gideon was talking about if you could trust him or whatever, and he said, "No, you can't, but I'm acting in my own interest." That was a good line. That was good writing right there. Mm-hmm. But at one point, he said, "Just as you betrayed our business arrangement." And it sounded like he was still addressing Greef Karga at this point. So I was like, does he have a business arrangement with Greef Karga? Or is he just putting himself in the position of the client as the arrangement being the bounty? I thought it was ambiguous, but I assume he just means the bounty. And it's just that writing's just a little weird. But I didn't know if that stuck out to you guys at all.
I didn't think that was weird writing. I thought that was the arrangement between Greef Karga and the client, that Moff Gideon was one rank above the clients at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, same. That's how I saw it.
And then one foreshadowing that I really liked was when Cara Dune said that they're going to upload me to a mind flayer, and then Greef Karga says that's just wartime propaganda. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think that is just propaganda. I think we see that in season 3. And so that was really cool to see that, kind of name dropped. I don't know if they knew that they were going to use that in season 3, when they said this, but I love that they gave us a little piece of lore, and it was just enough for them to go back to later and be like, you know what, that we can do that. So I like that. I got excited when I heard that. I was a little tickled that, you don't pick up on the first time, but after seeing season 3 and you go back and rewatch it, you can appreciate it more.
Well, even if season 3 never existed, just the name Mind Flayer and the idea that it might be just rebel or imperial propaganda, that's still in and of itself interesting lore and stuff to just drop little nuggets of. You don't need to go back to it ever, and it's already self-explanatory enough that it's of what it is. She's scared of it, and that's cool.
Built in Star Wars
we don't even know
already.
What propaganda that would be going for, too, because he just said that's wartime propaganda. He didn't say imperial propaganda.
Thank you.
It could have been imperial propaganda. It could have been imperial or rebel propaganda, and they were just saying hey, the Empire does all this crazy things like mind flayers, So you really don't know which way it's going.
It probably would have been construed as rebel propaganda that the Imperials were actually using, because in season 3 it is the Imperials. Or no, in season 3, it's the New Republic that's using the Mind Flayer, but it was an old Imperial Mind Flayer that they're using now as just a mind helper, in theory, that they turned
I'd like
back
to think
flaying.
that John and Dave had this exact conversation, and that was when they were like, you know what, let's just say wartime propaganda. We don't need to assign whose side this propaganda is coming from. And then the other thing that I got kind of excited about, but also had questions, was when Din Djarin said that it's Moff Gideon, and Cara Dune said Moff Gideon was executed for war crimes, because that, I mean, implies that there were war crimes that were committed, which, isn't that surprising, but that if he was supposedly executed, that means that he was already tried of these war crimes and sentenced, and then somehow escaped, and is very similar to what happens again in season 3, that he's again arrested and again escapes. And in season 3, there's like a big disconnect between whether or not it actually happened, and he never arrived for sentencing, but the people who thought he was arriving weren't really paying that much attention to it, so it kind of happened under the radar. But if this is a Moff who was already sentenced to be executed and somehow escaped, it seems like they should have just expedited the execution and really took better care of that come season 3. But we'll talk about that in a future series.
That's a fantastic call. I had not thought about that at all. That's fun.
But yeah, those were all the notes that I had from that scene. that scene alone gave me a lot to think about.
Yes. Another note that I had was when Cara Dune starts shooting at the sewer grate, trying to open it. It's like, A, man, if only lightsabers were in this show. Just wait. But B, it cuts to Moff Gideon, who admittedly has little to do in this season and in the show as a whole, yet he's still a captivating villain. He's a very, very cool villain. And it's just his little moments. And when she starts shooting that, it cuts to him and he just looks over, uninterested yet curious, what are they trying? Dude, she's got a big ass gun. You should be a little worried, and you're not at all. That is so badass. And then that's when he name drops Cara Dune, that the E-Web's predecessor vaporized her fellow drop troopers, and yeah, it's lore dump, but it's delivered so well. It's not just delivered well; it's written well, but it's also delivered so well that I love it.
I also love how Moff Gideon, after they're shooting for the grate, he's just by the sounds of your panic. I don't think
yes,
but I just like the way he says it. It's almost like a Seinfeld episode where I feel like he's just by the sounds of this, you are panicking hardcore.
They also name drop the Night of 1,000 Tears. That's another one of those things. Even so, we've gone through 3 seasons and we still barely know what happened. We know that it was basically a genocide, I guess.
Was this the first time they said it, or was this mentioned in an earlier episode?
No, they called it the Purge the first time in episode 3.
That's right,
but this is the first time they dropped the Night of 1,000 Tears, which is one of those things similar to Mind Flayer, but it was not further explored why it's called the Night of 1,000 Tears, and it doesn't need to be. That's a badass name. I'm sure they have their reasons, and I am not necessarily clamoring to see the details on why it's the Night of 1,000 Tears, but I like that. We then have a flashback of Mandalorian. This scene I thought dragged on. The flashback. It's not long. It's about 2 minutes. But yeah, you've already seen it.
And it didn't really provide that much more information.
Yeah.
We kind of already put together everything that it revealed.
It was a bit too sad that I have a son about that age, and so it was hard watching it for that. And I didn't the first time I watched this, so that part was worse for me. And yes, based from the first time we saw this flashback to this one, we saw more of Din's mother and father, which is cool and sad, but also not that important. They could have really just picked up from right when they drop him off to when the Mandalorians pick him up, because that's the meat and potatoes of this flashback, and they show a lot of sad that I didn't need to see. When they shut the door and then the big bomb goes off right then, I'm like, oh, I don't want to feel this way right after the SNL skit, So after the flashback, we then go to another very whimsical scene, kind of showing the tonal disparity here in this episode, where IG-11 and Grogu come in to save the day, and that is such a good scene. I was giggling like a schoolgirl watching Grogu smiling with his hair in the wind and IG-11 shooting all the people, and then that one scene where he grabs Grogu, twists his torso to put Grogu behind him, and then brings his arms out in front of him. that was awesome. The action in this episode is exceptional, and
Yep.
it is in no small part due to IG-11.
In the IG-11 in the intro scene is pretty brutal. When he also snaps Jason Sudeikis' wrist. I think we kind of glossed over that brutal scene, but that was a tone shift. Let me tell you in the intro, it doesn't really let up from there.
Right.
IG-11 definitely steals the episode, which makes it a little bit better that we got, more background on him than we needed in the last episode, which I was kind of complaining about.
That's true.
And a lot of my complaints with the last episode was that it's just kind of a setup for the second half. So, it does make that first episode better, there is a reason that we got all of that backstory into him, and it's because he's getting this whole story arc completed in this episode, and it was very satisfying. I mean, on every... I don't want to jump ahead, but obviously there was like the action front where he saves Grogu and he kind of saves the crew, and then he also heals Din Djarin, and then he also, saves them at the end. Very satisfying. I mean, he was definitely he stole the show this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, he kicks off this whole awesome battle, that iconic shot of Mando opening the door and assaulting the guy like right next to him and then shooting the other guy. I remember that was a trailer shot, and it was really cool in the trailer, and it was kind of a bummer that it was episode 8 shot that was in the trailer, and we were all like kind of looking forward to it for the whole season. Then it was in episode 8, but that didn't bother me at all on rewatch. Loved it this time. Totally forgot about it. They also did a very good job of showing the Death Troopers as elite stormtroopers. Mm-hmm. Like they're you run the risk. I think the Rogue One, for all its greats, does this worse. Death Troopers are basically just stormtroopers that look cooler. In this, Death Troopers are stormtroopers that look cooler and are also a lot more formidable. Like they're choke holding Mando, and he has to shoot them a lot more times. They're the ones that pull out the grenade, the space grenade, the thermal detonator to blow up the door.
Space grenade. No, it's good.
So yeah, I appreciated that. Speaking of which, so I watched this episode with my wife, who I usually don't. She's seen The Mandalorian, but they blow up the door with the grenade, and then Cara Dune kills all the Death Troopers, and Mando, IG-11, Grogu, and Greef Karga go back into that same room and shut the door. And Hannah was like, oh, how are they shutting the door? They just blew it up. And I was like, actually, Star Wars is well established as having several doors open and close in the same exact location.
That is really funny knowledge to pull out that we consistently talk about this on this podcast.
It was one of the better feelings I've had.
Door. There's always a blast door, too. Gosh. You can't watch this stuff with people who just don't get it.
I know. That felt so good to pull.
And if you want that door to open or shut or just be locked in whatever position it's in, you can just shoot the controls, and it does any one of those.
It's true.
Yes. Similar to the Death Troopers, but I think done a little bit worse, the Flame Trooper in this episode. He rolls up looking like the big boss of the episode. And I get that he has a flamethrower, but he is still just a man. Like, they're presenting him like a god a bit. So I thought that was a bit funny. But then he lights everything up and gives Grogu a chance to do his thing. Fantastic moment. Love that. That's exactly why you bring in a flame trooper.
I couldn't see your hands when you were clapping. I was so confused what was happening.
Just banging the table.
That was such a good scene.
I like the Grogu moment with it. The bringing in the incinerator trooper. So I don't remember what it was exactly, but I remember that was like a lore thing because the incinerator trooper was already in, I want to say it was a video game or something.
Probably Battlefront 2 if I had to guess.
This was the first time that they brought it into the live action canon. And so people were really excited about it. And I feel like it was something that Dave and John knew people were going to be excited about because they definitely presented it as something like bigger than it was. And in my head too, and since then, that character has also been heavily marketed in the toy arena. He has his helmet as one of the Black Series helmets that you can buy, as well as the figure. So to me, I just look at it and I'm just like, oh, they're just making a big deal about this guy because he is a slightly different colored helmet, and they're gonna market the shit out of this.
And we will buy.
Yeah, and that's their right to do so
have
because
3 of them.
it'll work so spectacularly.
And also Star Wars, yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of the thing. Toys.
We then get another excellent scene. IG-11 removes Mando's helmet.
He's not a living thing.
Love it. I know. The way it was written, maybe just because I knew the workaround there, but when Mando says, like, no living thing has ever seen me.
The way he says
I
it.
forget what he says exactly. He says, like,
Yeah, he
nothing
threw
alive.
him a fastball, and IG-11 knocked it out of the park. Like, just, like, he's like,
He did.
He just really set him up for that.
It did remind me a lot of Transformers Dark of the Moon, where Shia LaBeouf is talking to Optimus, and the government is trying to get information out of him, and Shia is like, oh, don't worry, Optimus, you can tell me. No human will ever hear about it again. Or no, it must have been the Decepticons, but the way he says human, then it cuts to Optimus, who, like, raises his eyebrow, and it's like, that's not what we're doing here. But it was such a good scene. It was tear jerking when he told Cara Dune to leave with Grogu, and she, like, wouldn't leave him. These characters are fairly underdeveloped at this point, but I don't know if it's just the intensity of the moment or their performances or just liking Cara Dune so much more than I thought I did. But that scene also hit a lot harder than I thought it would.
See, Cara Dune's performance, I don't think Gina Carano is a fantastic actress. I like the character of Cara Dune a lot, but I feel like sometimes when she's doing things on The Mandalorian, she knows that she's portraying a badass and she's like trying too hard to be badass when it's really like she was an MMA fighter. Like, she does not need to try as hard as she thinks
you can
she
be
does to
yourself.
a badass. Yeah, she is very naturally badass. But every now and then she just like does something or says something, and I just like, I don't know.
I don't disagree. I don't think she's the best actor, but the character suits her so well that I really like every scene that she's in, a lot more than I thought I did. And I pulled it up. The exact line, no living thing has seen me without my helmet since I swore the creed. So it was exactly that.
As soon as you hear that, you know where it's going. The Transformers reference threw me through a loop, but you kind of lost me halfway through that one. I thought you were going to go with the Lord of the Rings, the Arwen, I am no man, or Eowyn, I am no man.
Yeah, it's similar to that as well. I don't know. It just really reminded me of that Transformers scene. I also watch Transformers more than you guys probably do. That's a good series. There's a lot of good action in that.
It's an interesting sentence, Luke. I agree with the second half. There's a lot of action in that.
You don't agree with this first half that he watches more than you do? You think you watch more
that
Transformers
you know,
than Luke?
I agree with the first and the third points. Please really drive this home. When Luke Taylor pulled out a Dark of the Moon reference, I was like, whoa.
I don't even think that's 3. Is that 3 or is that 4?
That's 3, yeah. 4 is Age of Extinction. That one's no good.
That's
They
where
lost Shia.
That's right. But then they brought it back with Anthony Ramos, a couple years ago. So what are you gonna do?
That one was good. I like that one. They had gorilla. There was a robot gorilla, Matthew. You can't tell me that's not a good movie.
That one was a fun one. I agree.
All
I
right.
can't give you too much shit, though, because I'm a Fast and Furious apologist, so.
Oh, they're better
Yeah,
than the
but-
Fast and Furious movies, right?
I don't
As a
think
whole?
so.
I don't think so. I much prefer the Fast movies.
Give me 2 Fast, 2 Furious any day of the week. I could see Paul Walker smile when he lifts up his shirt and has all the money wrapped around him with Tyrese Gibson. Oh! Anybody know what I'm talking about? Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've seen
feel
Too
like-
Fast and Too Furious.
I feel like when I was a kid, I was like, fuck you. I was like, that was so cool. When I grew up, I wanted to rob places.
All right, Mando and gang then go into the sewers, and it's at this point that I remember this episode is a lot longer than every other episode. Like every other episode would have been well over by this point for the amount of content we've received. Like, I know you were saying that it's the longest episode and they still waste a lot of time, but they also get a lot done with this episode. Like, even just action and set wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they go and they find the covert, right? I don't know if I'm skipping over anything, so I'm sorry if I'm moving too fast. But
No,
then
that's
they run
next.
into the armorer, which I don't know if I would call that a lore dump. Maybe an exposition dump. I don't know. I like that scene though too.
What did she even say?
But it's mostly just set up for her to whoop some stormtrooper ass, which is super satisfying.
Uh-oh.
And
Hello?
it's the first time that we see it too.
I don't know what she said. I think Maxwell just froze.
I think Maxwell just froze as well.
I was
Hey,
very intrigued in what he was going to say. This has never happened.
I know. We've been
before.
going remote for well over a year now, and we
Yeah.
really haven't had any technical difficulties like this. This
is the first one.
I feel kind of unprepared for it. This is terrifying.
I know. I agree.
We're not live. It's important to remember that.
Yes, and we're going to edit this, but man, is it
We
going to
can
be a
fix this
weird.
We joke frequently about fixing it in post. We can actually
This we
fix
have
this
to
in
do.
post.
Yes. I'm just waiting for him to come back. Should we stop recording so we can all get on the same one again? Oh, this is horrible.
I don't know.
Maxwell, you back?
Hey.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. But anyway, we get the scene of the armorer whooping some stormtrooper ass, and it was very satisfying. That was one of my favorite action sequences of the whole episode.
Yes, it was. You're still recording, I assume. We can hop back in, no problem.
Yep.
Yes, the oven is still there. I've been waiting to talk about this for 5-6 weeks now.
Oh, I
That
love
oven is definitely too big to move the armor alone, but I maintain that 2 people can carry it. We got a bit of a better look at it this time. Were you guys looking at it?
Not in that context.
No, but it's a built. There was a stormtrooper died by being thrown in there. I mean, if it's big enough to,
It's not small.
Luke.
I'm not
have
saying
you
it's
ever-
small, but
have you ever-
you can move it.
Have you ever moved a refrigerator?
built-in.
That is, I mean, a refrigerator alone is tough. That's a 2-person job minimum, and that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
2-person job if I'm not one of them.
Watching the scene, I almost laughed at how far we've come and where we were at when this came out. And Mando says that its species can move objects with its mind. It's like, oh my god, Din Djarin, you are such a moron. Like, you don't know anything at all.
You simpleton.
In less than a year, you will be watching Luke fucking Skywalker slaughter 1,000 droids in front of you.
In less than a year. Yeah. You child.
Yeah, we then get
refer to them
the
as enemy sorcerers.
which is fair. That's a apt description. I'm pausing on this oven again. It is, it's big, but you can move this. They can definitely take that to their next place.
Where is it venting to, and where is it getting its gas from?
Wait, yeah. Also, how do you move it? Like, how do you move it out of that space? They're in the tunnel, so you're talking stairs too to get up there.
They don't
Logistically,
take
this
stairs
is-
from here out to the lava flats. They could put it on that same boat that they took out here. But
Maybe a
also
bigger boat,
not
more of a barge.
not dying on this hill, but it did occur to me when they were walking through the sewers before this. These sewers are large. Like, they are walking 4 abreast on a walkway next to the sewer. Like, this is a massive sewer tunnel. This is not just waste.
Yeah, that's how it always is in movies, you know, like air ducts. I have never climbed through an air duct. I want to. Never gonna
No,
happen.
even if you
They're
were
too
that small,
small.
they are so sharp all
Yeah.
over. You drill all those screws directly into them at all these different spots. But they get to the ferry on the lava flat, and this is yet another amazing moment for Star Wars, because I am hesitant to say expectation subversion, because the conversation around The Last Jedi has just ruined that phrase for me. But this is such a perfect expectation subversion when that R2 droid stands up and he has arms and legs. That is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I 100% agree. That tickles you every time. Have they ever made an action figure of that?
I don't think so, but that surprises me because it is just too cool.
Yeah, I mean, they make action figures for literally everything. This is the one thing.
Yeah, especially in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's a cool one. So I'm also scrolling
So-
through the episode as well, just to see.
the ferryman takes them through the lava flats, and we get to IG-11's sacrifice, which is the third so far episode ending finale worthy moment of this episode. And it's again amazing. The way the conversation he has with Mando likes droids now, or at least this one is, which I do think I'm curious to see going into seasons 2 and 3. He's more chill with droids. I don't remember it coming up nearly as much, except for on Jack Black's planet, the Plaisir 15. Damn it, I really didn't want to call it Jack Black's planet. Oh, I should have just trusted myself to pull it.
Here we are.
Plaisir 15.
I agree.
He hates those droids, but this is such a heartfelt moment, and calls back to episode 1, the self-destruct, and it's just so perfect. The way it's shot, also that shot of IG-11 walking to the light in the center of the frame, so cool.
Yeah, it's great, right? It's a bit. I mean, he's a droid, but also him being able to sacrifice himself, and then after the Grogu incident up front, and being able to do what he does the entire episode, it feels like a well-earned moment. You know, you're like, oh, this is a droid, it's no big deal, but you're like, you have like a maybe slightly more emotional attachment just because it's Taika Waititi as well, and he's playing that droid so well. It's a pretty nice moment, which I feel like could have been cheesy, but it's not.
It's a tearjerker, and I had a thought too at the end of the episode when he makes that little monument for Kuiil that that's also a monument for IG-11 because Kuiil was the reason that he came back and he reassembled him and everything, but he didn't have anything left of IG-11, so I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice little double monument of sorts there. But then I was like, except they actually do find his body somehow and they bring him back. So
Grievous Karga's
all
like
parts. Really
yeah.
But before then, I was like, oh man, he's saying goodbye to 2 of his friends, not just 1.
I love this scene. I love that droids are people, for lack of a better phrase. The people always say like, oh, just send a droid to do this and that, but like some droids are people and they have value. But then in the same scene, Cara Dune is like, hey, ferryman, stop the boat. And he doesn't right away. And then she just walks up and shoots him in the head point blank. And then Grogu even looks at her like, yo, what the fuck are we doing here? And then like immediately after that, it's the very heartfelt IG-11 move.
She's still got some stuff to work out. Din Djarin's clear, but she's got some things to go through.
Yes, they just cross paths on this journey of droid acceptance.
Yeah, they overshot. Yeah.
And I do want to say before we go off of IG-11 too much, and I don't know if we're going back to it, but also the whole self-destruction thing is beautiful writing because that is exactly how you should do that. How it was established very early on in episode 1, and when they did it, it was kind of like just like a jokey little thing, right? Because he kept trying to blow himself up, and Mando's like, "No, stop this!" And then it ended up being like incredibly important. And when it happens, you don't really think of it until at the very end when he talks about saving everyone, and you're like, "What?" And then he talks about it, and it's like, "Oh, of course." It works very well, and I appreciate that they laid the seed for that so long ago so that you could have that kind of like, oh yes moment in an episode where other twists were somewhat predicted, right? Like the whole like I am not a living creature thing. It's like, yeah, as soon as he said that, we knew where that was coming. But man,
yeah,
the self-destruct thing was perfect.
And
Chef's
then
kiss.
For yet another instance in this episode alone, I think the episode is over because that was such an amazing finale-esque moment. And then Moff Gideon shows up with his TIE fighter, and Mando jetpack grappling hooks blows him up with a grenade. That is so cool. That scene was so amazing. The effects were great. The way he tries to do it with the first bomb and he drops it. Realism. That's fun. And then he gets the second one. Yeah. That's definitely what I would do. Except I would also panic and then fall off. What, Matt?
Is this Moff Gideon's TIE fighter, or is this just a TIE fighter? Is Moff Gideon's TIE fighter unique in that it can land like that, or can other TIE fighters do that?
Moff Gideon's TIE fighter is unique in that it can land like that. But I imagine this is a regular TIE. This is Moff Gideon's TIE fighter, not a regular one. but it's not confirmed. I mean, the only difference that I can spot is that the wings fold down, and they don't in this sequence. But I think it's his TIE fighter.
During this era, they were
That's what I
very
was kinda
down.
looking, because I feel like I was like, why wouldn't they make it like more unique? At least do like a some unique paint job or something on the wings or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Give me that
I would
toy.
like that as
I
well.
would put a target on his back. Why would he do that? I don't know. Whatever. I'm overthinking it.
It says student driver.
But using the jetpack was extremely satisfying. Obviously, he just got that earlier from the armor, and that whole sequence of catching onto it and pulling himself up and blowing it up, very satisfying.
Like you get lost in the moment during this. During the scene before this, right? Like the IG-11 sacrifice, you get lost that he's in the tunnels. Like I'm like, oh yes, they're never going to see Moff Gideon again. Like he's not even like really a thought. And then it's like, oh yes, of course, the main villain was going to come back to try to solve. I mean, this is the last episode, and yet for some reason, every single time I watch this episode, I get lost in that story when they're in the tunnels. And I'm like, oh yes, above ground, back to the normal problems that we were having when they were above ground before. Having said that,
yes,
I do agree with Max in the fact that once that ends, it's like it does wrap up pretty quickly.
Yes, that was exactly what I was about to say. Mando does this and lands, and then Grief Karga says, "That was impressive. Looks like your guild rates have just gone up in town. We cleaned up all the stormtroopers." I'm like, whoa. I think we're missing a scene here. Like this just happened.
Yeah.
It was like the pre-prepared dialogue for the cutscene at the end of a successful video game mission.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And like you have to
It
go
feels a
talk
lot
to
like
him, but then all of a sudden you're like, I've already done this before, so how do I'm just gonna go run up and talk to him right now and let no natural time pass at all. And I'm gonna hold A to skip this.
But yeah, he says like your guild rates just went up, and then he's like, oh well, whatever. They have the whole conversation. The two of them are staying back on Navarro, and he's like, why would you stay on Navarro? And he's like, hey, this is a good town. And it's like this place, whatever. It ends. It ends right where it began, and it was just like, okay, like these whole 2 episodes was just another side mission, a very good one.
Yes.
But it's like the story didn't like really make any changes anywhere other than Moff Gideon was introduced and later revealed to not be dead. So it's just like thematically, it had the same story arc as episode 3 of season 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's not a series finale. It's a cliffhanger for sure. There is character development in this episode between, Mando with the droids and with his friends, with Grief Karga and Kara. I wouldn't
There
sell
is
it quite as
character
short as you
development.
are, but
And the cliffhanger with Moff Gideon is very good. But as far as like the main storyline, like the A plot, it didn't really have any resolution. Just another like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep hanging out with this guy and we'll find another mission.
Yeah.
right. There's another world where they could have done it where the client was more of a threat, and then they like defeat him, and that's the end of the season 1, and then Moff Gideon is the looming threat, but they really did away with
Yes, and
him
that could have happened
immediately.
in episode 3. I feel like episode 3, where episode 3 ended, is where season 1 should have ended. But that would have been like way too repetitive, because then it's like the entire season is just him trying to get back to the client. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm not trying to like,
I know what you mean though, but I mean,
Whatever.
fill in that. I think Max, if it's 8 episodes and episode 3 ends is episode 8. This is confusing, but if that's how the story ends, you fill episodes 2 through 7 with more things of him getting attached to Grogu the entire time, right? And then the side missions make more sense where he's trying to get back to the client. But I feel like, I agree. I feel like that does make sense because we do know where it goes, and I like this story that they're building a bit more than where we end up. But at the same, honestly, how great would have been like if we have season 2 would have been like the second half of this first season major story, and then season 3 we end with the Luke Skywalker thing. And then Boba Fett happens, and then the movie happens. And to me, it's like, oh, yeah.
Ow. You
I'm
can't even
gassing
think
just
about it
thinking
as a
about it.
threes.
Oh,
You can't
I'm
even
thinking
think about
about
it
it.
as a 3-season show because it was so. It's just a 2-season show that then got renewed for a 3rd season for business purposes. But there is a way to do that with season 2. But you I held my scoff admirably when you said if they ended it with season 3 and then you could had 2 through 7 episodes of Mando and Grogu bonding more. Like that's just more adventure of the week. They get distracted by their ship breaking down twice as many times as they already did, and we complained about it every time this season as is.
But just lean into it if you're gonna do it. Yeah, and that's what they did. And every single other episode, we're like, yay, no, hey, and so instead, just fucking give it to me. 2 through 7. I'm sitting back, I'm relaxing. I have no worries every week, no complaints. I'm just enjoying my life.
Yes, we then get to the last scene in the episode. Moff Gideon survives and pulls out the Darksaber. Fantastic finale. That's such a good cliffhanger. It works for the casual fan that sees black lightsaber, thinks cool. It works for the diehard fan that sees the Darksaber, thinks super duper cool. It works for the person that doesn't know anything about Star Wars that sees he survived and he has a cool stick. Like every single level, it fires. Great finale.
Yeah, if that doesn't tickle your sack, I don't know what will. And it was the feeling that you knew that we were in good hands and that Dave Filoni was making this show, part of his pride and joy, right? It felt like he was wrapping this into his much beloved animated TV shows. So I obviously really appreciated it. I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of that shot of him standing on top of the TIE fighter with the Darksaber out of my mind. I think that's always going to be one of the most iconic shots in all of The Mandalorian. There's also concept art of that exact shot, and it's so cool.
Yep. I think also there's I think within the Star Wars universe, the Darksaber was the first time in this show where it felt like at the end of Avengers when Thanos appears, and I feel like you could just see a bunch of people Googling what the Darksaber was. If you were in a crowd with people, and I missed that moment was ripped from our opportunity to see. But what are you gonna do? I love moments like that.
I remember being on.
Sorry, what?
I was just gonna say I remember being on Facebook and just seeing all of the articles saying what is the Darksaber, everything you need to know about the Darksaber. Ending of Mandalorian explained and everything.
Oh yeah, I love those things. I love seeing the theater light up when you're just people oh, what the fuck is that? Half of the people are so excited because they understand it, and the other half are just I have no idea. But now I will act like I know until the day I die. It's like.
All right, we've made it through the whole season now, so we can go with our official Mandalorian season 1 Force for Thought ranking. Let's just rip through our 1 through 8 quick, and I'll compile it into our official ranking. Mine is in first place is episode 7, The Reckoning, and then at number 2, 8, the one we just watched, and then 1, 3, 4, 6, 2, 5, and we can talk about it in more detail after we just get it through. Max, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is
no. I'm sorry. What's your episode 1? Just go. Wait, no. How did I do this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did this in such a frustrating way. All right, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is The Mandalorian, episode 1.
All right, and then 2.
Number 2 was episode 3, The Sin.
And you can just rip them out from there.
And then my third favorite was this last one that we just talked about, episode 8, The Redemption. My fourth favorite was The Prisoner, episode 6. My fifth favorite was The Child.
Reckoning. Oh, damn it.
That was episode 2.
Your fifth favorite was episode 2?
Yes. My number 6 was episode 7, The Reckoning.
What?
My 7th favorite was episode 4, The Sanctuary. And my 8th favorite in last place, unfortunately, is The Gunslinger.
Max, no surprise, our lists are so close. The first 3 are just reversed, and that's about it.
I am blowing this. We're going to have to take this. We're going to have to actually edit this. I cannot figure out how to compile our actual list.
No, there's nothing better than for a medium of like a podcast than you doing pen to paper. Figure this out.
This is humiliating.
I'm so interested in what
How
your
similar was it, Matt? Give me your list real quick.
number 1 for me is The Redemption, which is episode 8. Number 2 for me is The Mandalorian, which is chapter 1. Number 3 is chapter 3, The Sin. Number 4 is The Prisoner, which is chapter 6. Number 5, I'm getting confused by myself with all these fucking numbers.
Is 5? Which one's the x-axis? It doesn't make any sense. We have to cut. I can't do it.
Which is the okay.
All right, no. Episode 1, The Mandalorian. Where does that rank in everyone's favorites? This is my third favorite.
Oh, this is
Where's it for everyone else?
2.
1.
All right, what about 2? The Child.
So
Which
confusing.
one's that for everyone else? For me,
5.
it's 7.
5.
What about 3?
3.
The
2.
The Sin.
3 is 3 for you, Matt?
3 is 3. When is now?
Oh god. And 3 is 2 for Max.
Edit
And
any
3
of
is
this
4
out.
for
I
me.
want the listener to be so confused with us.
What about
3 is
4?
3. 3 is 3. That's an easy one.
What about 4? 4 is 5 for me.
What episode was 4? You got to give me the
The
names.
Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary.
That was number 7 for me.
This is number 7 for me as well.
7, 7, and 5. All right, what about 5? Oh, well, here's a sweet sack of shit. Now I have 5 as being the Sanctuary. No. 1 was the... Oh, my gosh. No, because that's my 4. All right, 5 is the Sanctuary. And for me, it is number 4.
No. Yeah, I think you have that backwards. Sanctuary is episode 4.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gunslinger is 5.
No, we just did episode 4, and it was
Yeah,
577.
Episode
No.
4 is the Sanctuary.
Okay, hold on.
Is
I
episode
am
4
on
the
IMDb
Sanctuary
right
your 7th
now.
favorite of the season?
Yes.
Yes, episode 4 is the Sanctuary. That is my 7th favorite of the season.
Same.
All right. Then episode 5, Gunslinger, is my 8th favorite.
Same.
Same.
Matt?
Yeah, same. Yep. All
Okay.
agreements.
Episode 6, The Prisoner, that's my 7th favorite? No, it's my 6th favorite. 6 is 6. Ugh.
That was my 4th.
It is also
Matt?
my 4th.
All right, and then 7th, that was my favorite. Easy. 1.
That is wild.
Same.
That was my 6th.
That is also my
6.
6th.
Jeez. And then 8, that's higher. That's my 2nd. What's yours?
Number 1 for me.
3.
3 for both of you?
Yep. Max's
No,
and
Max
I's
was 1.
our lists are the same except the first 3 are in different orders, but the same 3 episodes.
All right, and then I can count. I can add these, no problem. So probably. So you guys just give me a second here.
Matthew, what are the odds that this is going to be right?
It's right.
I would say let's double check it, but that's just going to cause more confusion, and we're all going to do it differently. What's Lauren up to? She's a math teacher. Getting one. She up?
All right.
She's dead asleep, and you're like, "Hey, honey, wake up for a second. I need to create some sort of graph."
It is time. It's like I've been waiting for this moment.
All right. Our official Force for Thought ranking of season 1 of The Mandalorian. Our favorite episode with 6 points of favorite. No, I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah,
no, I
please
will because
don't.
I think it's
No,
interesting.
No. All right.
So it was one of our favorites, one of our number 1s, one of our number 2s, one of our number 3s for a total of 6. Our favorite episode is episode 1, The Mandalorian.
Nice.
Our second favorite with 8 points of favorite is episode 8. You see, I wrote when I did my
Redemption.
list, I put all the orders out of order. I put them all out of order because it was just my. All right.
I'll help you
Redemption,
out.
Number
I'll
8.
help you out. I'll do
Redemption,
the episode titles.
episode 8 is our second favorite. And number 3 with 9 points, just behind Redemption, is episode 3, The Sin. I believe.
Sorry, Luke.
Next favorite with 13 points is episode 7, carried heavily by Luke. With 14 points, episode 6. with 17 points. Episode 2, surprisingly high in my opinion.
Child.
Carried by you guys, I suppose. The Child, yes. In 7th place with 19 points is the episode 4,
The Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary. Oh, that's funny. It was 577. You guys both gave it 7s for The Sanctuary, and episode 2 was 755. I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7. And you guys gave it 5s. So we really just flopped on that one. I think The Sanctuary is so much better than The Child. I digress. And then everyone's least favorite, 24, episode 5, The Gunslinger. Not the best episode. So there it is. I can't make it any more clear than that, folks. Force for Thought's favorite episode of The Mandalorian Season 1 is, I think, Episode 1, The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Perfect.
Followed closely by the season finale of The Redemption.
All right. That went well. Season 2 starting next week. Someone else will be hosting, thank God. And we'll be dropping the robes also. Look out for our new theme for the season 2. Does anyone have any Force for Thought to leave us with?
I think I
do.
messed up with the robes. I feel like we should continue. I'm so comfortable all the time. I suggested something for season 2, and I think I fucked up.
No, I'm over the robe. This thing. No,
I was
I'm
thinking
not
we
a
should
big
get Force
robe
for
guy.
Thought robes. I don't know what the Force for Thought LLC bank account's looking like, but I was thinking we should get robes.
Our producer is nodding emphatically. Apparently, it's in the budget. So,
Oh.
all right. Force for Thought. Yoda, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Throughout the whole saga, Yoda has a very positive reputation of being a very wise and sage old man, very in tune with the Force, and he usually is, but sometimes he really just plays into it just to really pad his own stats, I feel like. The scene I'm referencing is the end of episode 1 when he's discussing Anakin's future with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, I gave Qui-Gon my word, I will train the boy without the approval of the Jedi if I must. And Yoda humps, Qui-Gon's defiance I sense in you. And it's not really your senses, Yoda. This man is in open defiance, literally at this exact moment. And he was trained by another man that was consistently in open defiance to you as well. Let's just call a spade here. Like, you're not pulling anything out of the Force for this. This is just, you're reading the room.
Obi-Wan's like, no, I am defying you. I don't want there to be any confusion about this.
Yes, that is correct. Qui-Gon's defiance lives in me, and it is very clear in this moment. All right.
Funny. I thought you were about to go on about the whole line about how he immediately says, like, okay, the council agrees. And then it's like, whoa. Or
No,
did you
I just talked about that
time?
like last week or
did.
the week before, but that is a
okay.
funny moment as well.
Like, whoa, judge, jury, and executioner over here.
Right.
Yoda's a wild card. But, he's been doing it for a long time.
He's
We
been
just
crafting
had,
his brand,
Star
apparently.
Wars trivia last night at a bar. Brought home that hardware. No surprise there. The trivia questions were only okay, but it did give us a lot to think about because
Max was thinking about his life because he thinks he's an absent father because he keeps going and drinking. Sorry, podcast. Sorry, listeners. Sorry.
all my brothers were there too, and their fathers as well.
And they're all
No,
terrible
what was
people.
really funny was they kept giving
Hey,
us
guys.
the categories for the question before they told us the question, and the categories were super weird. And so numerous times we were given the category, and Luke just said, "Oh, this is going to be the question." And so not only did we know the answers, but Luke was naming the questions before they were even asked. And it happened like 3 times that it came up verbatim as Luke said it would. And then he was like, yep, and just write down that answer real quick.
Yeah, that felt really good. The one I specifically remember, the category was credits, and I was like, oh, the answer is going to be 2 now plus 15 when we reach Alderaan, so 17,000. You can pencil that in.
And then we even had a debate because I didn't even think about credits as in money. I was like, credits? Oh, I thought it was going to be like the ending credits. Like, I thought the question was going to be like, what's the first credit that comes up when it, wipes to credits or something? And it was going to be the directed by. But then Luke was like, oh, no, it's probably going to be money. And then we were like, oh, that makes sense. And then I was thinking like, well, what's the question about money? And Luke was like, no, it'll be how much do they offer to pay Han Solo for transportation to Alderaan?
That's hilarious.
And exactly what it was. And Luke wrote down that entire answer. 2 now, 15 when we arrive.
Because another good question would have been, how many credits does Qui-Gon offer Watto for the ship parts on Tatooine? Which I never did confirm this, but I believe it's 20,000 Republic Dectaries. And that would have been a good question, but there was a question before that where the category was Jar Jar, and I was like, oh, it's gonna ask for his species name, or maybe if it's like intense, maybe the city name Autogunga, and then the question was the city of Autogunga inhabited by the Gungans is on what planet? And I was like, oh, it's Naboo. Okay, that's the intensity that we're going for here. Got it.
I see. I don't. Why do
A lot of
people?
the questions were like that.
Why do people do drugs? Right? Like, I feel like, Luke, you got the same amount of a high as someone who just did a bunch of rails of cocaine. Like, knowing all those answers, just become a fan of something, you know, and your life will be much better for it. I think.
It feels so good.
At one point, Luke said, "I'm not worried about being wrong. I'm worried I'm going to have to argue with this host."
That's Luke.
Yeah.
This was a long about way to go about that. We were talking about Yoda yesterday during one of the questions at some point, because we were talking about the age of Yoda, because he dies at 900, and the question was, how many years has he been training Jedi? And he said that he's been training Jedi for 800 years, which means that Yoda was training Jedi when he was 100 years old, which isn't that crazy, except I brought up the fact that Grogu is supposed to be 50, which means that when he's like twice as old as he is now, that he's going to be training the Jedi, and I was like, that seems ridiculous. And then I had to explain to my brother, who swears he listens to our podcast but never heard me explain the
Which
exponential
one?
growth of Yoda species. I'm not gonna call him out.
Well, he
The
clearly
older
doesn't
one.
listen for the last.
They're
2.5
both older than you,
years,
Max.
because you have explained
The
that
oldest one.
several times. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Season 2, episode 1. It's a really good one. I want to say it's like my favorite in the entire series. I'm super excited to rewatch
Whoa,
it.
why would you say it? You gotta wait to see it. That's man.
I know,
Ballsy,
I
Luke,
know.
so ballsy.
Well, no, because your expectations are a fun part of this. Because I thought Cara Dune was my least favorite character in the series, and she is far from it. So it's fun to see the difference in how I remember the show and how it seems to be on rewatch. So that's where I'm going into it. Surely I won't be disappointed, but we'll see. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you, Sammy.